Back to the Seahawk Boys fearless and very smart NFL YouTube channel. Great to have you back here again. So been getting some reactions, some comments from yesterday's mock draft. People arguing with me, like, you didn't take a wide receiver. Well, it's because we don't need one. So I didn't take a wide receiver. You took two tight ends. We already, we're only going to carry three for the season. Yeah, because Pharaoh Brown sucks. Pharaoh Brown isn't even barely a legitimate NFL tight end. So yeah, that's why I did that. And people arguing, oh, you're going to take a QB3. Well, I don't think if we took Bo Nix or Michael Penix or Spencer Rattler, if they'd automatically be QB3, I think they'd certainly be in the competition for QB2. And other things could happen that could make them QB1. So don't look at it that way. Try not to look at it that way. But let me just put it to you this way to all the critics out there, who are offended that I called Seahawks Brandon Nelson a retard. Sorry about that, but he's a retard. If you hated yesterday's mock draft, you're really going to hate what we have to show you today. Okay, welcome back. It's great to have you guys here. There's a few of you out there, and I know I'm pissing some people off, and it's not really my intent. I mean, in a lot of my other interactions on social media, I like to piss people off, but I'm not here doing that. I'm here because I care about what happens to the Seattle Seahawks. I'm a Seahawks fan. I always have been. There's other things going on in the world. We're on the brink of World War III. We've mismanaged our economy. There's a lot of big things we could be talking about. But in between talking about those things on my other shows, I like to talk about football. And I care about the Seahawks. And I do feel like the current management of this organization has completely mismanaged this football team, especially the last couple of years. Pete and John, the clown show, was bad enough. But now we're into the John only show, and we don't know if it's going to be a clown show or not. I want to take a quarterback because that's how you get great in the NFL. That's how you win Super Bowls. If you look back in the last 25 years, there's only 3, 4, 5 guys who were not drafted in the first round at quarterback who won Super Bowls. One of them was Russell Wilson. And let me just tell you, you're not going to get lucky twice in a row. You're not going to get lucky twice in 10 years and find a Hall of Fame franchise Super Bowl winning quarterback like Russell Wilson in the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th or the 6th or the 7th round. Now, Brock Purdy is a really good player, and I do think if the 49ers continue to put a good team around him, that he does have a chance to win a Super Bowl someday. As a game manager type, even though I honestly think Purdy's better than that. But that's very rare. There are only two top Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame franchise quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls in the last 25 years that weren't taken in not just the first round, but the high first round: Tom Brady and Russell Wilson. You can argue Drew Brees because he was the 33rd overall pick. He was the first pick in the second round, but that's basically a first round pick. Everybody else, even Trent Dilfer. Trent Dilfer was a high top 10 first round pick. So that's why I say what I say. That's why I'm pushing this issue. That's why I'm, I guess, stirring things up. But you want to really get stirred up? Well, some interesting things came out today. Now, there's a guy out there on Twitter called Hawkmania, and I don't really know him from Adam. I don't know who he is. I've never heard of him before I started doing this show, but he puts out some interesting stuff. I'm not sure how reliable it is, but he put out a tweet today, which I thought was really quite interesting. And let's just take a quick look at what it said. He said, okay, 3 Seahawks players who could be traded during the draft, according to Lee Vowell of 12th Man Rising. I don't know who Lee Vowell is, but apparently he's a guy who's been around for a while. Prediction number 3. Geno Smith to the Las Vegas Raiders for their second round selection. Okay, I think that's funny because nobody's going to give us a second round pick for Geno Smith. I don't believe we could get a seventh round pick in 2024 for Geno Smith, maybe in 2025. But as you will see, that doesn't make, that doesn't make it makes a lot of sense in terms of the salary cap for the Seahawks. And if you go draft a quarterback, it makes more sense. But yesterday, my bro and I, well, we'll talk about that in a second. Abraham Lucas for a late round pick. I would disagree with that 1,000%. We do have some tackles coming up behind them. We do have some of the potential. In my mock draft yesterday that everybody hated, I drafted Matt Gonzalez to play tackle, and we also have George Fant. But I would hate for that to happen because I think it's too soon to give up on a very promising young player who played like a first or second round pick after being taken in the third round. So, it could just be that maybe there's some issue going on there. But the number one rumor, and you can read about it on 12th Man Rising, is DK Metcalf to move up in the draft to the Los Angeles Chargers first round pick, number 5. Now, just last night, as we were walking the dog, my bro, Seahawk boy Dave, and I were chatting, and he came up with a scenario under which the Seahawks trade DK Metcalf to get up in the first round to take the quarterback. And I fought against it. I don't like it. DK Metcalf is our best player. He is one of our only real star players. I mean, Devon Witherspoon and Kenneth Walker are not really star players yet. They're good players. They're not star players. So this upsets me a lot. But then after this rumor came out today, which is not from Seahawk boy Dave, I begin to think about it more. And I begin to think about in what context does this actually make any sense? And it kind of does. So let's start out. Let's first go back to the mock draft board. And let's take a look at whether or not the Seahawks could even get up to the number 5 pick from where they are now at number 16. We'll share that tab over there and make sure we're all working. Okay, so we're going to set it up as just a quick 2-round mock draft because we're going to get a second round pick out of this. We're going to enter the draft here, and we're going to pick Seattle and the Los Angeles Chargers as our 2 teams. So we'll enter the draft. We'll go normal speed. It'll be Caleb Williams probably goes number 1. Yep. Jaden Daniels number 2. Drake May, Marvin Harrison. Now we're on the clock. We've got a couple trade offers, but we're not going to accept that. What we're going to do is we're going to propose a trade. We're going to propose the Chargers trade with the Seahawks, and it'll possibly be rejected. They're going to trade with the Seahawks, and they're going to give us 5, and we're going to give them 16 and our 2025 first-round pick, which is 2 first-round picks is the price for a quarterback. And in order to make it work, I believe I gave them our second-round pick, and they're going to have to give us back 37. Now, why do they have to give us back 37? Because DK and 16 for 5, DK something else in 2025, and 16 for DK Metcalf is value. DK, like I said, is our star player, and he would be stepping into a situation with Justin Herbert, who's already an established franchise quarterback. So rather than take a risk with Marvin Harrison Jr., the guy they maybe really wanted, rather than take a risk on, somebody, one of the other receivers, Romo Dunze or somebody, why not just go get DK? So they give us 5 and 37. We pick up the second round pick that we covet, where we can get a receiver back, and we trade them 16 and 2025 first, 2025 second. That's exaggerating, but I'm trying to give the equivalent of what DK's value is in here. Let's see if they accept it. They did accept it. Kaboom, we're on the clock. We're going to reject all of our trade proposals because we came in here to do one thing and one thing only. That's draft a quarterback. It's not going to be JJ McCarthy. I don't see him as being somebody the Seahawks are interested in. It's the guy we want. It's Michael Penix Jr., and he is now the Seattle Seahawks quarterback of the future, and maybe the quarterback of the present by the time we get done. So other picks get taken. Malik Neighbors goes, Roman Dunze goes, Jared Verse. We beat everybody to the punch. We're now on the clock at 16 as the Los Angeles Chargers. We've got our receiver. We have other needs. We have cornerback. We have center. We have offensive tackle. We have defensive tackle. We only have one trade offer, and that's to go all the way back to 28, but pick up a second round pick back and pick up a 2025 second from the Minnesota Vikings. Now, if I'm the Chargers, do I want to do that or do I want to stick and pick? Because if corner is a need, I have a chance to pick up a cornerback right here. I also have a chance to pick up the quarterback that I want, which is JJ McCarthy. Now, this is interesting because I could do another deal here. I could make a proposal to the Minnesota Vikings, and I seriously doubt this is going to go through because I think in order to make it work, you have to pick Minnesota first. But let's just say that JJ McCarthy did make it to 16, and I wanted to go with my Michigan quarterback. What about trading Justin Herbert to the Vikings? And we'll just try something and see if it works. What about trading Justin Herbert? Yeah, it's not going to work. What about trading Justin Herbert um, to the Vikings? In return, we get JJ McCarthy right here at 16. We get 17, and they've made trades already, 17 and 23. But the Vikings did they come up? No, they didn't come up. How'd they end up at 17? They must have traded back out of 11 after we took Penix. Okay. Um, yeah, we gave the 11 to the Jaguars and got 17 and 48. So the question is, what do we do here as the Chargers? I don't think we're going to do anything in particular in terms of cornerback being a need. Why not do something even more impressive? Why not take Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle, to build that Harbaugh defense? Now, Liatu Latu goes. A lot of the offensive linemen go. Fatanu goes all the way to the Packers at 25. Wow, the Chiefs do not take a receiver or a corner. Okay, so we're sitting here at 37. We've got offers. We're not trading for anything for next year. We could trade back from 37 to 44 and pick up 112, but we're gonna reject that. We're gonna stick at pick. We're gonna go to offense. We're gonna take our wide receiver to replace DK Metcalf. Now, Lad McConkey is a really good receiver, reliable wideout who runs great routes, catches everything thrown in his direction. He's 5'11, smooth as well as fluid. Da, 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 da. I can't see us being interested in a receiver like this to replace DK Metcalf. But we have on the roster right now, we have Jackson Smith-Njigba. We have Tyler Lockett, who's got 2 years left on his deal. And we have Jake Bobo. So we do need to get some talent here. I think, knowing the Seahawks, they go for the big athletic talent. Devontae Walker is sitting there, 6'3", 192, athletic receiver who flashes big playability, uses his hands to separate, turns on his burst with a quick step and makes catch stride, runs outstanding routes. Sounds like the guy. Just to do a little bit of due diligence. Johnny Wilson, massive college receiver whose best position at the next level is likely tight end. Probably not a good selection for us there. Jalen McMillan is still there. He's 6'1". Roman Wilson is still there. But if the draft falls this way, I think Devontae Walker is the pick for the Seahawks to replace DK Metcalf. So we've traded DK Metcalf in the 16th pick and maybe some other stuff to make the trade work. But we've got our quarterback of the future and we've got our replacement for DK. So as the rest of this draft plays out throughout the second round, a lot of players going. Wow, the Eagles took a safety. Wow. Jalen Polk goes. Andre Sweat goes. And so on and so forth. So here's what we got. We gave up DK Metcalf and we gave up some picks to the Chargers. They traded down. They ended up with Byron Murphy. We got Michael Penix Jr. and Devontae Walker, or one of the other receivers, to replace DK Metcalf. Now, what kind of sense does this make? Well, it makes a certain amount of sense because DK is a problem. Pete Carroll prided himself on dealing with problematic players, and he did I'd have to say, a pretty good job. Yeah, those I think those would be good moves for the Hawks. Franchise has gotten stale and needs to be shaken up. I agree. Um, Janice. You're not gonna let him trade Justin Herbert. That is a rumor that's floating around, though. There is a rumor floating around that um, Jim Harbaugh might trade Justin Herbert to the Vikings and take JJ McCarthy. That's the rumor. But DK's a problem. He's difficult to deal with. He gets penalties. He does stupid things on the field. We don't know how Mike McDonald is going to deal with that. He's not going to deal with it the way Pete Carroll did. He already took, thank God, the stupid basketball hoop out of the Seahawks meeting room. Thank fucking God. So a lot of the nonsense that was tolerated under the Pete Carroll regime is probably not going to be tolerated under Mike McDonald. We're going to be a more disciplined, better coached football team. The other thing to consider is you look at the Seahawks salary cap, and DK is actually taking up a pretty significant portion of that cap. When you consider his salary over the next couple of years. So he's our number 2 guy on the cap this year with a cap hit of 24.5 million. To this point, they've done nothing to reduce that. So Geno Smith also is up there as our top cap hit guy. So let's say we traded DK post 6-1. So if we do that, if we make this draft day trade and call it a pre 6-1 trade, we save 9.5 million under the cap. That brings us up to 11.3 million for this year. That almost covers our rookie pool. It's a pretty good chunk. If you look at 2025, it jumps us from $3 million in cap space. It jumps us to 32.492 million in cap space, 32.5. So it works under the cap if we trade away a super talented superstar problem child. Here's the thing, too. If we don't get a quarterback this year, our next quarterback, the one who's going to truly replace Russell Wilson, because Geno's just a bridge. Sam Howell will never be anything but a backup, and probably a bad one at that. Then DK is going to be 30 years old by the time whatever quarterback we might get next year or the year after is ready to go. So if you're looking at this rebuild, our second rebuild in 3 years, and you're saying to yourself, well, we can go get our quarterback, but we have to give up our number 1 asset, our best player, our best wide receiver, our most explosive, talented wide receiver. You're giving him up, but you're getting another receiver to replace him that can grow with your brand new quarterback. So in that context, DK makes a certain amount of sense. Trading DK makes a certain amount of sense. Am I against it? Yeah. Would I do it if this offer came up? I'd be tempted. And if my head coach was telling me, I don't want this guy on my team, I don't want to deal with him, he's a jerk, he's a problem, but Harbaugh does want to deal with him, great, you have him. And I'll take my 12 million in cap space. 11 million in cap space for this year, and geez, like 25 or 30 next year. So that brings us up to 11.3 million in cap space for 2024 and 32.5 million for 2025. So we created a lot of space. What about the other rumor? What about the Geno Smith rumor? Well, if we traded Geno pre-June 1st, we lose about 600,000 in cap space. So not much. Drops us down to 10,696,000. But look what it does to our 2025 cap. We go up to $71 million in cap space to spend on new players for this football team. Now, if we trade him post 6-1, we save quite a bit more this year, but less in 2025. So it actually would make more sense, according to Over the Cap, to trade him to the Raiders or whoever it is. So both those rumors make sense from this scenario. And then you got Gino off the team. You've got an experienced quarterback in Sam Howell fighting it out with Michael Penix Jr. to be the Seahawks starting quarterback. I honestly think it makes a little too much sense. It makes a little too much sense. Let's see. Seahawk boy, Dave. What about the Chargers cap hit? Well, they don't really have a cap hit because they're not trading a player. But let's go look at the Chargers and see if they could pull this deal off. Okay. Let's reload. Wow, the Chargers do not appear to have it's not here to have a salary cap. I don't know. I can't check it, but we'll check that later at some point. They could restructure, renegotiate with DK Metcalf. The thing is, too, is you got to face the reality. The Seahawks are going to have to give DK a new deal, either this year or next year. Oh, looks like over the cap is down. Okay, Seahawks are going to have to give DK a new deal because he's only signed up till 2025, and his cap hits are 24.5 million and 30 million, almost 30 million, 29.5 million. It's a lot of money, and you can't have cap charges that high. Let's see now if it'll work when we go to the Chargers. Nope. Yeah, there we go. So the Chargers, yeah, they have 30 million in cap space, so they can absorb DK. Absolutely not a problem. So there we are. It works for everybody. Works for everybody. So I don't know. I don't know what I think about this. It's way too tempting. It is just it is way too tempting. And when I think about it, I think um, at first I was totally against it, and now I think about it, and I mean, again, I look at the cap savings. I look at the value of a guy like Penix who is going to fulfill, you know, my dream that I want what I want. Um, it makes a little too much sense. Let's trade Gino and trade DK. You lose your star player, but you get a young player back with that 37 pick, and you get your star quarterback. I don't know, guys. I'm pretty tempted. I'm pretty excited about that possibility. I would have to say, I think if that were on the table, I would take it. Well, I guess we're gonna find out if Hawksmania is really on to anything here. And again, I will put a link to the 12th Man Rising article um, in the description or in the comments. Players Seattle Seahawks could trade during draft season by Lee Vowell. Now, I don't know if this guy is any good. I don't know if he has any credibility. I'm just going to say it's out there. It's exactly what Dave Barra, Seahawk boy Dave, and I talked about last night. And it is pretty intriguing. It is pretty intriguing. Thanks for being here. I'll drop this into the comments, link to this into the comments, and I will see you again the next time I feel like doing something. 10 days left before the draft. We're going to find out. We're going to find out absolutely if John Schneider is still a clown or if he's learned from his past mistakes and he goes and gets a quarterback. But if this deal is on the table, I think I'm taking it. Thanks for being here.